I am an F1 fan. I'm also a video gamer. And the combination of these two very interesting personal traits means that I've owned and played many F1 games over the years. Most on PC, some on the 360 and PS4, but all of them played with a controller. It was and still is my opinion that F1 23 is the best an F1 game has ever been. You can obviously make the arguments about older games having classic cars and tracks and all, but as far as how the game felt and what it had to offer, 23 was the top one for me. Needless to say, when F1 24 was being promoted, I was excited as hell. The new tire and suspension modeling looked great, career mode updates were exciting, and all the creators I was following were giving great paid opinions about it going into launch. I got in on the beta testing and had no real complaints on it other than locking up felt easier in 24 than it did in 23. But then, the game launched. It ran much choppier than the beta regardless of my graphics settings. I wanted to dive into career mode, but the goals were all bugged. I wanted to race online, but the game would keep crashing if more than 4 or 5 people were in the same lobby. And these issues were only evident if the game would actually load. I mean, how many of us tried to open the game but just got stuck staring at this? I mean, look, my computer might not be the best, but it's far from bad and has no problems with other, more intensive games. So 24 wasn't working for me and I was heartbroken. I went back to 23 for a bit, but I'd already been there, and since I passed the 2 hours of gameplay on 24, I couldn't get my money back. So I looked through my library on Steam and enter Assetto Corsa, a game that I bought sometime in late 2015 but gave up on after I couldn't get it to work with my controller. Determined to get any fresh Formula driving done, I started digging online for mods and information. Very quickly I got Content Manager and some Formula car mods, and crucially, the Advanced Gamepad Assist mod, and baby, I was back. I drove cars that didn't exist yet, I drove on tracks that don't exist yet, I drove the F2004 on slicks and felt the need for speed, but I was still on a controller. And with this new world of options open to me, I wanted more. So I got my first wheel with the Moza R5 bundle. There was obviously a learning curve, but despite that I was having a blast. Pretty quickly though, I felt like Assetto Corsa was getting stale. It was great for driving, but not so great for racing AI, and I, after all, was having fun racing. So with a little bit more research, I came across Assetto Corsa Competizione. I hadn't paid much attention to GT racing before, but I fell in love with the game and therefore the sport pretty quickly. I jumped in right ahead with all the DLC, I got to learn how to drive the cars, and ended up plugging in a few hundred hours. I tried other games before landing on ACC, but they didn't stick. Automobilista 2's demo was the worst advertisement they could possibly have made for the game. Race Room is fine, but needs too many extra purchases. Le Mans Ultimate was a dumpster fire that was harder to get running than F1 24 was, but that's a different video I'm working on. Don't set me on fire just yet, I've had a turnaround since then. Reminder, this was more than half a year ago. And iRacing's pay structure kind of made me want to put a blindfold on and walk into traffic. Keep in mind, for more than a decade, I'd only played F1 games when it came to racing. It was all I knew. Luckily, ACC is a fantastic game that trained me well and treated me well, and for a long time I was more than happy doing my little races. But after some months, there was all this buzz happening about a massive update to Automobilista 2. A victim of FOMO and excited at the idea of more Formula cars to drive, I bought AMS2 post 1.6 update and have been having an absolute blast. It was so much fun to me that I started making my dumb series videos with it, and it's been so good that I even recently upgraded my wheel to the KS wheel just so I can do more within a race. Honestly, when I was just like a basic controller child baby, I used to wonder what I was missing, and now I know it's a lot. And I don't know what the future holds for the F1 franchise. I don't know if 25 will be any different to 24, or if 26 will even happen. I went back to 24 recently. After all, Alex Gillen said it was saved like half a year ago. And the truth is that F1 24 now is okay. Just okay. But I find myself glad that it came out of the gate so terrible, because if it was as good as 23, I would still just be playing F1 24 on my PS5 controller plugged into my computer. So thank you, EA. Thank you for making F1 24 such utter dog shit that I'd be pushed into a wider, greater world of pretend racing and video games. If the team at Codemasters paired with EA hadn't dropped the ball so hard, I would never have learned how to control hypercars, I would never have driven as Lightning McQueen around Bathurst, I would have been stuck in my tiny little bubble as a little fanboy, so thank you.